The second round of the NBA playoffs starts Sunday. So before it gets kicked off, I wanted to just give my thoughts, predictions going into the second round. I want to start off first with the 1-4 seed out west, the Phoenix Suns versus the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, I think Phoenix has way better defenders than Utah did. So I'm curious to see how good Jalen Brunson is going to look, how good Spencer Dinwiddie is going to look. No disrespect to those guys at all. I know they're quality guys. I know they're really, really good guys. But I also know Utah could not play any defense on the perimeter. And obviously, I'm curious to see how the Phoenix Suns are going to guard Luka Doncic. Going to see some Bridges on him, going to see some Drake Crowder on him. You might even see some Chris Paul on him a little bit from time to time, depending on rotations. But the biggest thing in this series, obviously, is what's Devin Booker is going to look like. Came back in the first round and played towards the end of the series, but he doesn't look like himself fully. If depending on how well he looks, depending on how well rested he is, that's going to mean a lot for this Phoenix Suns team because we saw it. When he's not there, they are beatable. And another small thing to think about, I don't know if it's actually going to turn into something. I could be overthinking it. But Luka's only ever been on the first round. So now that he's been to the second round of the playoffs, is he going to get gassed? I don't think so. But it's just something to think about because we always talk about Luka's weight and potentially him being out of weight, over shape, stuff like that. Overweight, out of shape, stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be a thing, but it's just something to think about. Extra games means extra wear and tear on the body. Does he have the stamina for it? Overall, if we can get like Devin Booker to 80, 85%, I go with like Phoenix and probably 6 here, maybe 7. I think this has potential to be a long series, mainly based on Devin Booker. I'm confident the rest of the Suns organization is going to step up and play well. But we've seen Luka Doncic push series to 7 just on the strength of his own. And now he has guys like Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie. And if Booker's not himself, it's not impossible for Dallas to upset, but I'm not picking them. I'm going with Phoenix. In the 3-2 matchup out west, we have Golden State Warriors versus the Memphis Grizzlies. I want to give a quick shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was a really entertaining series to watch. There were a lot of moments where these teams obviously looked young and dumb. There were games that Minnesota just lost on their own merit. Shout out to Memphis for winning those games. But there were a lot of games where Minnesota, at least to me, it felt like they just gave away blowing leads in the fourth quarter. Like, they got to make some tweaks. They got to get better. Some of that will come with age. But in terms of this series, hey, shout out to Memphis. Y'all did good. Second seed in the West. You made it to the second round, but there's no way I see you guys beating the Golden State Warriors. Mainly because of all the stuff we talked about before in the Memphis-Minnesota series. It's just a really young team. And young teams make some dumb mistakes. I can see Jaren Jackson Jr. getting in foul trouble early against a smart Warriors team. I like Memphis. They're talented. They're going to have a bright future. Obviously, I love Ja Morant. But there's no way I see them beating the Warriors. I'm going Warriors in 5 here. Okay, so let's talk about the Miami-Philadelphia series. First things first, Joel Embiid injury. Orbital bone fracture. He had concussion. A lot of people, especially Philly fans, were like, why was Joel Embiid in the game that late? I completely understand it. There's no reason for him to be in the game that late. Sixers were basically up 20, 4 minutes left in that game. But when you really look into it, when you really look at it, the Sixers were basically up 20 the whole fourth quarter. There was no reason for him to be in the game the whole fourth quarter, basically at all. But I'm going to tell you why he was in the game. Doc Rivers didn't trust that team to keep that lead. That's basically what it came down to. As a Sixers fan, I've seen us blow leads plenty of times throughout the season in the fourth quarter, 10, 15, heck, 20-point leads blown in the fourth quarter because we try to rest our starters and the bench just can't play. Because the night of the game, I'm watching it with my guys, and my boy Dami says, why is Joel in the game? Why is Harden in the game? And I literally say it's because Doc doesn't trust them to win games. Doc doesn't trust us to not blow this lead. But then the press asks Doc why he had Joel Embiid in the game that late. And basically his answer was, well, the other team had their guys in. When I tell y'all Doc Rivers can't coach, this is what I'm talking about. I said it a couple of weeks ago when Doc Rivers broke down his decision between Paul Reed and DeAndre Jordan was, if they go big, we're going to go big. If they go small, we're going to go small. And his explanation for this was, well, the other coach had his starters in, so I guess I might as well have mine in too. Doc, that's not the way to go about it. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Doc Rivers is a reactionary coach. He doesn't make decisions for himself and try to make it uncomfortable for the other coaches. He just goes with whatever the other coach is doing. It's moments like this and it's press conferences like that, it's quotes like that make me go, yo, you don't know what you're doing out there. Because any other coaches don't do that. If coaches run small ball, they run small ball because they see something they want to exploit. If they run big, they run big because they see something they want to exploit. Coaches don't go big because the other team's going big or go small because the other team's going small. They do things to make the other team uncomfortable, to make them have to react to them. Doc doesn't do that. Now, with all that being said, I don't know how the Sixers are going to win the series without Joel Embiid. I knew it was going to be tough for us to win the series, even with Joel Embiid. He first has to go through concussion protocol. That's going to at least be a game or two. At the fastest, I don't see him coming back till game 3 with just off the concussion alone. And then the orbital bone fracture, from what I can tell, that's going to be based off basically his pain tolerance and the risk of re-injury. So he might play with a mask on, he might not. It just really all depends. And on the Miami side of things, from what I can tell, Jimmy Butler's saying he's going to be back game 1. So there goes that hope of him not playing for Sixers fans. Kyle Lowry, I still can't fully tell when he's planned on returning. But, I mean, the Miami Heat, without Joel Embiid, are obviously a better team. James Harden had a big game for the Sixers in that closeout game against the Raptors, but I don't see him consistently doing that for us this series. Because Joel Embiid's likely going to miss the first 2 games, which means in my world, Miami's obviously winning those games. They're going to come in with the momentum. Him having the momentum after those first 2 wins, it's probably going to be like Miami in 5. It is what it is. Moving on. The series I'm probably the most excited about in the second round, Milwaukee and Boston. First things first, from what I can tell, Chris Middleton's going to miss this entire series with a grade 2 MCL sprain. Now, that's tough for Milwaukee. That's really, really tough for Milwaukee. Now, because we just saw how well Boston can hone in on one player and Kevin Durant and basically beat a team. The good thing for Milwaukee is I don't think the Boston Celtics can hone in on Giannis the way they honed in on Kevin Durant, simply because the players and the team around Giannis is way better than the Brooklyn Nets. Call me crazy, but I can see this series going all the way to 7 games. Yes, Boston have a lot of defenders. Al Horford is going to be able to keep up with Giannis to an extent. Time Lord's going to be back. Marcus Smart's excellent defender. Jason Tatum might see some time on Giannis. The interesting part for me is how different of a play styles that Kevin Durant and Giannis obviously have. Giannis is a more physical player. If he wants to go to the rim, he's going to put his shoulder down and go directly to the rim. Now, the thing is, Boston has smart defenders. So if he starts to try to impose his will, being a little too physical, they might take a couple of charges and get Giannis in foul trouble in a couple of games with some offensive fouls. For me, the X factor in this series is Drew Holiday. He can't have some iffy/bad games like he had back when they played against Chicago in the first round. He has to play at an all-star level for the Milwaukee Bucks to have a shot here. I think this is going to be a really, really entertaining series. I've talked a lot about the Bucks, and it makes it sound like I want the Bucks to win this series, but I think it will go to 7, but I'm going with Boston in 7. But that's all I got for you guys today. Not going to drag it out. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.